Welcome to my sexy torture dungeon. Hello everybody, welcome back for episode 5 of Berserk 2016. This is, once again, episode 5 called The Tower of Conviction. It's going to be centered around that big tower we've seen in the previous episodes. Shocking! But that's not where we start off in the episode. So, quick, I guess, roundup summary of the episode before we go in. I think it's better in some aspects because they fuck up less. I think they fucked up, this is without looking at my notes or anything like that. I think they fucked up about 3 or 4 times. Not as badly as they have done in the past, and it didn't, well, in the past, I mean the last 4 episodes, and it didn't annoy me as much as the last episode, so that is a benefit. That's something at least. But let's cue those spoilers and get right into the meat and bones of it, shall we? So I guess the first fuck up straight away is this episode starts off with the introduction, the actual introduction, I should say, of Ishidoro? Something like that. This kid, you know, the one that we saw in episode 1. In the manga, this is how he was introduced, and in the show, for some reason, they wanted him to be working at the bar for no particular reason, and now he's just happened to come along and find Guts for a second time. Who knew? What are the odds? I'd say pretty low, especially with a war going on, but never mind. So once again, in the anime, they do something, and then they do something later on, in this case 4 episodes later, which makes that irrelevant. It's not quite as irritating to me, because it was almost more of a cameo than anything else, compared to the Keeper of the Hounds. But still, I don't know what the reason was for doing that in episode 1, so never mind, I guess. As we've got his introduction now out of the way with, we do a bit of character building with him and show he's a bit of a sneaky kid. You know, he's a bit of a tricksy character, tricking these dudes into stealing food that he's poisoned, and then trying to get away from their buddies when they kind of come around the corner and go, hey, what's going on? And blaming them on the wolf, basically, the boy that cried wolf kind of thing. And them almost figuring it out, and then oddly enough, the wolf being the scouts for the Kirshan, those guys, army appears and almost save him, and then Guts comes and saves him. Actually, one bit of animation that I thought was quite nice from a CG perspective, and you're not going to hear me give the CG much credit, so let's give it when we can, even if it's only a small little glimmer. But I did like him cleaving the people in half once again. This time he cleaved them up pretty good. I don't like, obviously, the stumps on them, because they're effectively just a slice and then just red, you know, to show that's the inside of their leg. And it's like, well, there's not much to it. But I thought the animation of them being cut and kind of flying apart and spinning around was actually quite nice to look at. You know, from an artist standpoint, not from a crazy psychopathic murderer standpoint, you know. Not like that at all. The problem is, during this fight scene that we have between Guts and these scouts is, once again, they have the annoying habit every now and again. Well, I think they only do it once, to be honest, but they cut from the CG to a real extreme close-up of Guts' face, and it's 2D, and then it cuts back to the action, which is back in 3D. And as a viewer, you're always trying to be invested in what you're watching, and if you notice something as glaring and obvious as this, it really does pull you out of the experience, and you go, huh, that wasn't quite good. With the scouts taken care of, Guts is on his way, because the only reason why he stopped to help was because, well, they decided to attack him because they were in his way, and, well, you know Guts, he doesn't give a shit. So with him off and Ishidoro off beside him after Puck takes his food, which I liked. I like Puck being Puck and doing Puck things. We then look to a character who we haven't seen since, I'm guessing, the movie. I don't think he appeared in the 97 show, which is Silat. He is the leader of the Bakiraka clan, I think it's called, which is a part of the Kirshan army. Apparently their entire nation is made up of multiple clans all kind of working together. Think almost like, I guess, the orcs from World of Warcraft. They're a bunch of clans all working together as one big horde. Now, Silat we don't know much about, even from a manga perspective. He has only appeared a few times in the manga. I think he's only done 4 fights, 4 significant fights, 2 against Guts and 2 against someone else. So he appears, and when he's in the manga, he's usually in the background talking to someone, and not actually doing a huge amount. But he's always going around with these big dudes, these big mutated looking mofos, and they are called tapas. Sorry, I think it's tapasa, which apparently means sage or hermit, depending on if it's Malayan or Sanskrit, I think it is. And in keeping with the manga, he doesn't do a lot. He just says, I remember him, and then we have a quick flashback to a bad bit of 2D animation. I will show that, and I'll also show how it looked in the movies, which had a much better looking animation style. Oh, one other thing Berserk 2016 likes to do is punch people in the face like it did in the manga, but not go to the extremes of Guts punching a dude in the face with his metal arm. I showed it before when he punched a dude with his metal arm, back when the Holy Iron Chain dude popped up. And again, with these guys, he punches a dude in the face, and it's not quite as impactful, shall we say. That bit of the episode is pretty much just one chapter, and then from there we move on to another chapter, which is heading over to the Tower of Conviction, the name of the episode. They do an okayish job, I guess, representing the harshness of this refugee camp, who are not getting enough food and stuff. It looks kind of bleak, but it's not got the foreboding impact I would have liked from a visual standpoint, at least. There's not even that many people moaning or going, which, again, I would have liked a little bit more of. Oh, there's this really bad-looking cart that's meant to be carrying around dead people. But to me, if you look at this image, it just looks like a load of lazy people who haven't really been bothered to get off the sidewalk and just been put on this cart because, you know, they're tired and they can't be bothered to go back home, so they're just getting this taxi ride. And because these people are hungry, they try and raid a food cart from the Holy Iron Chains people. And they're complaining and being like, oh, we're hungry, we're starving. This guy does not look like he's starving. He's got man wabs, he's got man titties. Come on, he's not that hungry. In the manga, they looked hungry. They looked like they had been deprived of food and stuff. Clearly, one of them hasn't been, or he's just been eating the smaller, weaker people who haven't been taken off by the cart of the dead yet. But Mozgus breaks up the kind of hullabaloo of the people stealing the food, and a lady is like, oh, come on, bro, I was only trying to save my baby. He won't even, like, feed anymore, so Howie, be a bro. And he's like, alright, I like the cut of your jib. God likes the cut of your jib. So we're gonna be like, alright, let's be friends and I'll help you out. Take him to the castle. So they go to the castle. And hooray, they save the baby. However, Mozgus is, well, he's dedicated to his cause of punishing sin as we go poorly. I say poorly because it's not very well done, to Mozgus's torture room. And again, I'm not sure if I didn't like the scene because in the manga, when you see all the torture stuff, I'm not going to put the torture stuff up here. If you want to find it, you can do. But I don't know what the, if it's good or not to put it in here. So I think it's better to leave it out just in case younger viewers are like, oh my god. But if you want, you could probably find it easily enough on a Google search. With the images, you can linger on them a lot more and probably drink in the horror of it rather than the animation, which still feels quite quick. To go through it all. And there's some torture scenes, or images at least, which they don't use. One specifically of a lady hanging above, I guess like a triangle, nude, as everyone getting torture has to be naked. And she's been, I guess, lowered, shall we say, onto the top of this little triangle. Well, it's not a little triangle, but you know what I mean. So they decided to remove that. They removed a guy who's on it's like a mill wheel, where you'd have the water pushing it down and turning it around. Imagine that, but just sticking a dude on, and instead of water on the bottom, it's fire. They took that one out. Also, I know why they did this. I'll probably show one quick clip and then really crop it. But it's almost like the room's permeated with this weird red gas, and I know it's meant to symbolize like the horror and blood, but it's just this weird red smoke. Maybe that's what I don't like about it either. Maybe they should have instead for the lighting used, a few torches and just bobbed them about and had like really sinister dark lighting. Maybe that would have been a better look for it. I don't know. It's just a guess. And once again, we have a truly terrible 2D image of Mozgus's face. We have the anime version, and once again we have the manga version. One looks better than the other. I think we can agree. We have another 2 introductions of important characters for this story arc, at least. We have Luca's introduction, who is the nice prostitute who helped out Casca in the last episode, and we also have Nina. Nina being, in my eyes, probably the worst character in Berserk history. I hate Nina. And you will hate Nina in time, I would think. Also, there is a scene where they're going past a dude who is being accused of being a heretic. People are stoning him. After the stoning happens, because it's a bit of a, ooh, I don't really want to stone him, but if I don't stone him, people are going to think I'm a heretic, so I'm not a heretic. I'll throw a rock at him, even though it's wrong. There's a bit where there's a preacher bobbing about, again, talking about the hawk of... does he talk? No, he just talks about the hawk. I'm just having a quick look at it. And again, it would have been nice, maybe not to have that in the foreground, but maybe in the background, and you could hear him talking about the hawk, because it's again just kind of hammering home that idea that everybody knows of this hawk dream. And this chapter ends, or this part of the episode ends, at least where the chapter would end, where her and Casca are down by the river. Nina and Casca are down by the river, I should say. Her thingy starts to bleed, being her brand on a I don't know why I pointed out my neck, because that's guts, and right on her chest. And we see some evil spirits start to bob up and be like, I'm gonna kill you. And that's how that chapter ends. So, what's the next chapter? Well, it would continue on with that, but we jump ahead, I think 2 or 3 chapters to where Ishidor catches up with Guts, apparently after a long time of running, and thinks, I'm going to take that massive sword that Guts was wielding, and I'm going to take that for myself. It doesn't go so well, as I like the bit where Puck is like, use your back and use your legs, pick it up. And, you'll do it. And then he just kind of jumps on the sword and slams it down. And he's like, I've caught a thief, Guts. I'm like, yeah, you have, Puck. You're being cool again. I love you, buddy. You're so good. And even though they haven't really explained it, he does have his little dandelion, I guess we'll call it sword. But it's had no explanation. He's had it in the previous episode at one point. Now he has it here as well. So they do have it in the show. They just haven't really explained why it's there. But if you've watched these videos, you know, or if you've read the manga, obviously you know as well. And so this is the joining of Guts and Ishidor. Guts has another buddy to join around and bum around with him, and he's got another friend. So after that, we have the introduction of the Bone Wheels. Those guys who were put on the wheel before, the breaking wheel, are now kind of all pissy and annoyed, as he probably would be. The funny thing about the manga, anyway, at least the translation version I have, is like 3 or 4 of them are like, jerk, jerk, and then one of them is like, what the hell? I don't know, it tickled me. It's better in the anime where they're like, damn you and stuff like that, than jerk. And this is basically how the episode ends, with Guts just, smashing them. Again, with a few bits of badly edited 2D faces in here and there. So that's this episode, really. We have the introduction of Ishidor, I should say. And we have those guys, him and Guts moving closer towards the tower. And then we just have the build-up of the scene of the tower, kind of world building around that area, letting you know what's going on there, and that it's a pretty shitty place. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We will see you, I will see you for episode 6, which will be next week. I hope this has been fun, and until next time, everybody, I will see you later.